Hi everyone. For today's book review, we're going to be taking a look at the Olympic, the Titanic, the Britannic, The Anatomy and Evolution of the Olympic Class by Simon Mills. This wonderful book does exactly what the title says. It looks at the nuts and bolts of the Olympic class and, more critically, how each ship evolved from the same design, and in the case of the Olympic, how it continued to evolve over its 2+ decades of service in both peacetime and in war. It is profusely illustrated, as no doubt you're seeing up there on the side, with blueprints, diagrams. There's a fold-out plan of the Olympic hull lines included as well. In addition, you will recognize that there will be a few computer-generated images, and some of them have come from the same contributors of that fantastic volume that came out earlier this year, Titanic: A Visual History. Simon Mills has a great writing style. The prose flows beautifully, and if you are familiar with his previous book, Exploring the Britannic, and we should probably point out here that Simon Mills is actually the legal owner of the wreck of the Britannic. If you are familiar with this book, then this current volume follows in its footsteps. It's published by the same organization, Adlard Coles. It's a mouthful. The focus of this book is on the nuts and bolts of the Olympic class, but there's a lovely little chapter about the construction of the tenders, the nomadic and the traffic. They are included, and there are also chapters detailing the lives of the vessels, so Titanic's sinking, Britannic's sinking, and some of the major events of Olympic's life, including some less well known, including the exact location where an armed confrontation happened on board the Olympic as it was being finished between two shipyard workers, who apparently, after having a very long night at the pub, one got angry at the other, blamed him for losing his job, and wanted to kill him. And fisticuffs and gunshots were involved. What I enjoy about this book is that it still remains focused on the evolution of the ships. It's relatively well known how the Britannic differed from the original design, and we also know, thankfully, how much different the Titanic was from the Olympic. And brief overviews from this book will easily debunk all those stupid swap theories. But what is also appreciated in this book, and what builds upon previous volumes such as Mark Chirnside's tome about the Olympic, is that we get to see how the Olympic went from being the pinnacle of ocean liner design to being a troop ship, to being converted to oil, and then moving with the times, how the decor was adapted, how the cabin arrangements were constantly updated with new tastes, new immigration regulations, so that by 1934, Olympic was a vastly different ship to what had originally been built. The other great insight that Simon Mills discusses is the material degradation of the Olympic. After 24 years of arduous service, the actual material condition of the ship was substantially degraded, and expensive refits and repairs had to be done throughout the early 30s to keep the ship going. It's an insight not so much into the quality of the workmanship, quite the opposite. It's an insight into seeing how technology of the time had been pushed to the limits, and how it held up against some very rough service. This ship served both in peacetime and in war, and the North Atlantic isn't known for being always calm. It's a great book, well illustrated, but again, as noted at the beginning, you will probably recognize some images from the previous visual history book. This book builds on the back of previous volumes detailing the history and evolution of the Olympic class, such as the Olympic that I pointed earlier. We also have, I can't take them out because they're all squeezed in so tightly, but we've got Tom McCluskey's Anatomy of the Titanic, and what interestingly is not referenced is the 2 volumes of Titanic, the Ship Magnificent. This book would actually make a great backup for those 2 volumes. So if the Ship Magnificent, you can't get your hands on those 2 volumes, then this book is a great substitute for that. Do check it out. I do recommend it. I am going to give it a 3.5, low 4 captain's hats. It's a wonderful, insightful book, written beautifully and profusely illustrated. So if you love the engineering and design aspects of ocean liners, and particularly the Olympic class, well then, check it out. You will love it. So, until next time, enjoy and happy reading, everyone.